who is opposed to the man who calls himself Dr. Draper, decides to look for the stolen Metalogen alone. The search leads him to a paint factory, which is shut down for the duration.
Mr. Kent, how come this here rabbit is at this place when I know we left him at the laboratory?
You can thank Ernst for this. Now, let's get this robot out of here and call the fire department.
Don't make sense to me saving this here rabbit when he just tried to track you down and dispose of it indefinitely.
And there's no time to argue. Let's get out of here before the whole building goes up in flames.
So, you two bungled again.
Not us. You're the one that messed up everything.
How dare you make such a statement?
Well, it's the truth. If you hadn't sent the robot over there to interfere, Morgan wouldn't be alive to tell the tale.
How do you figure that out?
Butler had him trapped, and I started a fire which would have left no trace of him.
That's right. He tried to throw me in the fire. We had to take a powder out of there to save our hides.
Well, maybe it was my fault. I should have warned you in advance.
And that's all there is, except that by the time Flash and I got the Metalogen Man into the back of the car, the fire department arrived and put out the blaze.
Getting the robot out of here and using it to attack you must be the work of Ernst.
There's no question you're right, my dear. But there's one big point that puzzles me.
You mean how Ernst knew we were going out to that place last night?
Precisely. I'd hate to suspect Dr. Draper of being involved in this.
Shh. Careful.
Well, if we're going to continue our search for a meteorite, we'd better get started. I can't afford to waste any more time than necessary on this project.
It's our time you've been wasting. The question is why.
I don't like your tone of voice, Morgan.
I'll be glad to change it. Just as soon as you explain why you misled me about there being no meteoric substance near the paint factory.
Why are you so positive there is?
I borrowed your detector and went back there last night.
You took my property without permission?
Yes, and I proved to my satisfaction that you lied to me. Your detector clearly indicated the presence of metalogen in some form.
That's all the impertinence I intend to take from this young upstart. There's your agreement. Null and void.
Oh, you shouldn't have.
Let's not be too hasty, Doctor. I'm sure we can iron everything out to our mutual satisfaction.
It's no use arguing. I'm through. Just give me back my detector, and I'm on my way to Marshallton. Well, where is it?
Right over here.
Why? You've ruined it.
It happened accidentally, Doctor, I assure you.
I'm sure it isn't seriously damaged.
It's absolutely no use to me now, and you can keep it. I'm going to sue for this outrage.
Well, that upsets all our careful planning. I can't blame Dr. Draper for being offended. You took entirely too much upon yourself without his authorization.
It won't do any good to blame Ken, Dad. It's done, and we have to make the best of it.
I'm sorry, Professor. Maybe I shouldn't have borrowed the detector without his permission. But I'm not worried about him suing us. I'm sure this can be easily repaired. And if it'll help us locate some metalogen, we'll still give Draper his share. Agreement or no agreement?
Ken is right, Dad. You'll see.
I hope so.
You certainly handled that situation nicely. But it's too bad you had to leave the detector there.
What do we need it for? If Morgan really discovered a meteorite near that paint factory, all we have to do is dig for it, make sure that he doesn't get there before us.
How are we going to do that?
If you remember, a long time ago, the city started to bore a new sewer tunnel into that neighborhood.
Yeah, but they ran into a hard rock formation and had to change its course.
Exactly. And that hard rock formation is actually the meteorite.
Maybe you're right. But how can we dig it out when the city's powerful equipment couldn't even budget?
We don't have to. We let the Metalogen Man do it for us.
Now we'll see how this reacts to the metalogen in this disc.
I have my fingers crossed.
No, it's beyond repair.
There's only one way out of our difficulty. I'll run over to the hotel and try to square things with Draper.
Yeah, as likely as not, he's checked out of there by now.
Well, in that case, I'll run up to Marshalltown and talk to him in his lab.
That's the thing to do, Ken.
Come in.
Pardon me, I'd like to see Dr. Draper.
I'm sorry, but Dr. Draper's in the Bayview Hospital.
Since when? I saw him only a few hours ago.
You must be mistaken. He's been on the verge of death for several days.
Why, that can't be.
Don't tell me, mister. I called the ambulance myself. Somebody attacked him here and fractured his skull.
Is he a medium-sized, bald-headed man with a heavy beard and thick glasses?
That's right.
Do you think they'd let me see him at the hospital?
Well, he just regained consciousness. I can't say if they'd allow anyone to visit him.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Remember, you can only stay a moment, and don't say anything to excite him.
Right.
Someone to see you, Dr. Draper.
My name is Ken Morgan. I'm associated with Professor Arnold of the Bainbridge Laboratories.
I'm glad you came, young man. I had a date with your colleague to demonstrate my detector before that lunatic attacked me.
Yes, I just found out about that. I have an idea who it might be, but I haven't any proof.
Go to my office, find a motion picture camera, have the film developed, and you'll have your proof.
Do you mean to say the police haven't found out about this?
Not yet. You tell them for me.
I'm sorry, but I'll have to ask you to leave now.
Thank you, Doctor, and a speedy recovery.
you just take it easy now and stay up there in your hutch. One of these days, I'm gonna have you doing my work, and I'll be sitting up there on the throne.
This is a stick-up, mister. One false move and I'll drill you.
I won't move, sir. No, sir, not me.
Now walk straight ahead.
Straight ahead?
Further.
Further?
Further.
Oh, further.
Further.
Now, look here, mister. I can't go through these here walls. Or can I?
Do as I say or else.
Oh, what I'd give to be a ghost.
You know who I am?
No, sir, I don't want to get acquainted.
I am the killer. The killer.
That's what I thought you said.
The Killer is a crime production. See it at your local theater.
Flash, what's the matter?
Are you laying down on the job again, Flash?
I was dead. I can hear the music of the angels.
You were listening to the radio. We heard that crime program as we drove over.
You know, it's a crime going around scaring people half to death.
Well, Mr. Morgan telephoned us to the house saying he was back in town for us to meet him here.
Yes, sir, right this way. I want to show you something. He hung those things I ordered this morning, but he didn't say what kind of picture he's going to show.
Good morning.
Well, what's this all about, Ken?
Yes, what's all the mystery?
You no doubt recall how upset you were when I had that run-in with Dr. Draper.
I only questioned the wisdom of antagonizing a man of his reputation and standing.
The reputation and standing of the real Dr. Draper is above suspicion.
The real Dr. Draper?
Yes. Now, if you'll give me just a moment, I'll put this film in the projector, and I promise you a surprise. Flash, will you close the blinds, please?
Yes, sir. It's been a long time since I've seen a moving picture.
Turn that radio off, too, Flash.
Yeah.
Now, hold your breath, folks.
Just one thing more, Doctor. In case your deal with Arnold doesn't go through, where in Harrisville can I contact you?
At the Standard Hotel. Now get out.
Thank you, Doctor.
You can open the blinds now, Flash.
Yes.
And to think that Ernst was able to pull the wool over our eyes that way.
What became of the real Dr. Draper?
He's in the hospital, very critically injured.
Oh, I owe you an apology, Ken. Forget it.
I just thought of something. Ernst knows all about the location of the meteorite.
By Jove, she's right. But what can we do about it?
I suggest you and I take this film over to police headquarters. After they've seen it and heard all the facts, they'll figure out some way to help us.
That's a good idea, Ken. You don't mind waiting here till we get back to you?
Not in the least. I have loads of work to do on your book, so go ahead.
Ernst, that must be Nordic.
You sent for me, boss? Yes, we'll need that ape tonight to get that robot out of the Bainbridge laboratories.
Why don't we walk him over like we did before?
Because Arnold no doubt has removed the Metalogen disc, and it won't operate without that.
I follow you. Now, suppose you want me to take him to the tunnel sewer.
That's right. But be sure not to use the entrance leading out of the paint factory. I'm positive the police have set a trap there. You know how you come in on this, Flint?
I know what to do.
Remember, no more slip-ups.
Metalogen Man prove a fiendish device for a novel murder? Will Ken Morgan be able to forestall impending disaster? Don't fail to see Death in the Dark, the 8th exciting episode of The Monster and the Ape, at this theater next week.